We're live.
Awesome. Well, hello everybody. Welcome to um, the bi-weekly DAO call of the Effect Network. Today is the 18th of October 2023. Um, Today we have a couple of items on the agenda, and we also have proposals that we can discuss. Shall we start with the proposals first, and afterwards we'll take a look at the agenda?
Yeah, sure.
The first, the first
Sounds good.
proposal is The first proposal is proposal 145, EFX Pancake Swap LP Reward Farm Season 6. The current Pancake Swap contract on BSC is expiring on Friday, so we need to launch a new one and we need to top it up with some liquidity. This was Jesse's proposal and it passed. There were a couple of no votes for it, but um, the majority wanted this proposal to pass.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's pretty clear when it comes to the deployment and doing that in time. Um, I will make sure that it's already live before Friday, of course, before it expires, before the old farm expires, and like we will have to make some adjustments to the UI of the farm itself, like for the notification that people can migrate to the new one and like similar as we did before. But it shouldn't be too much work, so that will all be ready before the farm ends on Friday.
And you got
Um,
rid of the bridge link on the UI. I only realized it recently, but I think you should put it back on.
yeah, good one. Yeah, we will put it back. I think we'll also put like a notification on the homepage with like some details on how to do it. Like, I mean, you mean on the DAO dashboard, right? Like the
Yeah,
DAO
yeah. On the dashboard, there used to
in
be like a
UI.
link called Bridge, and then you go there. Like basically, you can navigate to the pool without, an external
Yeah,
link. Like, yeah, you can just do it
yeah,
through the
exactly.
dashboard.
Yeah, we'll put it back. Yeah, good one. I'll write it down right now so we can make it more convenient. And there was a couple of no votes, but not too like yeah. I guess yeah, it's the. I understand also why people would vote against if you're not like involved with the Binance Smart Chain side, but yeah, for now, I'm personally like glad we can keep the liquidity and hopefully boost it a little bit, especially in this post KuCoin like liquidity issue. So
Well,
yeah, I guess if there's any further comments, then we can discuss them.
I would assume that the no votes, Alan is here as well. Just the primary reason is they want to be conservative with the spending of EFX. So that's the main reason I would assume. So I know I've been also asking to have rewards for the DeFi box pool, but I guess we probably don't want to do it the same amount as this. Otherwise, it'll probably seem like too much.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah, I get it. For the DeFi box one, that's an interesting one to put up. Indeed, we don't want it like probably we want to stay a bit lower than we are with this one, especially when looking at the total expenses for liquidity rewards. Um, but also, it would be nice to have more liquidity, especially as we're going to have more functionality in the platform for people to swap straight away from, for example, EFX to USDT.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Where
We will really benefit from DeFi box liquidity.
I feel like we want to at some point equalize them out, so they're the same amount. So, but we may have to lower the pancake swap rewards to increase the DeFi box rewards. I'm not sure yet. But as you said, the functionality will require DeFi box pool being substantially funded.
Yeah, I would like to see things move more towards the EEL side, indeed. So now it's the weight is sort of shifted towards Binance Smart Chain when it comes to liquidity and both and the rewards. So it would be nice to have that transition. We can start with a small pool as well on DeFi books. It's nice that they can aid us in like the infrastructure for distributing the rewards, and then we can like build it up. Perhaps over like when the next farms have to be deployed, we could reevaluate and shift more towards DeFi bucks. Perhaps I think that would be the ideal case.
Yeah, I think for me, it's just DeFi box should have something rather than nothing. So, but there's no need to be too liberal with EFX rewards, right? We don't want to like start just dabbing them all out. But I do think and so though, as you said, if we want to transition, maybe in the next quarter we can slightly reduce the pancake swap rewards and increase the EFX rewards. I mean, increase the DeFi box rewards, and we just kind of balance it out based on our needs, like which pool we think should be the most important.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I agree.
Indeed, I would also like to see DeFi box being used more and more, and hopefully we'll see that with the new update. Are there any other comments? Otherwise, I'll move on to the next proposal.
I think we can move on to the next
yeah.
one, right? It ties in nicely to this as well.
Indeed. So the next proposal is 146, proposal to add USDT to DAO Treasury Fund. So this is a proposal I made. It's a proposal to swap a certain amount of EFX, $100 worth, to USDT. It's using an ATP. It's more of a proof of concept to start adding other kinds of assets to the DAO Treasury Fund. The idea is to show that the DAO can hold other kinds of assets as well instead of only EFX. And I hope that with this, going into the future, we can slowly but surely start adding other kinds of assets as well instead of only keeping EFX. As I mentioned, there are some key benefits to this, adding a little bit of stability. Hopefully, we can also add other kinds of proposals in the future that can have other kinds of payouts instead of only EFX. And also hopefully just make the value of the DAO Treasury Fund a bit more stable as we go into the future, instead of it being fluctuating so much with the price of EFX.
There was a proposal a while back, do you remember it, that had a similar concept? Let's see if I can pull it up.
I like this proposal a lot. I think I remember something like we've discussed it before. This topic has come up quite a few times as well.
Well, I think
I
there's
think
two frames to this topic. The first, I think it's very good to be able to get the stable coin. For example, we've discussed how if we're funding hackathons, we may want to slowly over time, do a trade of EFX to build up, the reward pool, rather than give them EFX, which they proceed, to sell right away. It kind of hurts volatility, or creates volatility if you do it that way. But there is also a proposal about other tokens, and that I'm not too sure on, because right now, I wouldn't want to really trade EFX for anything. Like, just with the current market cap, I wouldn't think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I just want to clarify one point, perhaps. I read in the proposal it mentions $10 worth of the trade, but you just said $100. Like I think I also at this point think the price of EFX is like not like I would not trade it at all because it's just it's very at a very really low point. But if it's like just a proof of concept and like a $10 worth or like around that range, I would say I would be in favor because it's a nice proof of concept. It shows the ATP works. It gives a little bit of funds in there. I guess it's more of sort of a test case, like you said, David, like a proof of concept than a big financial diversification. But it could, it opens the road definitely to doing more stuff like that.
Exactly. I don't foresee us doing a bigger transaction in the near future. It's
You're posting
it's
the old proposal.
but yeah, that is a good point though. That I should have properly updated the summary for this ATP.
But you
And
intended it
also,
to be 10 or 100?
I think it should just be 10. It's just the proof of concept, right?
yeah, I do think I did it for 100. So there's it swaps 5,438 EFX for 8,000 USDT with a slippage of 10%, 20%. That comes out to $80, if I'm not mistaken.
5,000 EFX?
Yes.
I think it's like $10.
Okay, I need to double check these numbers then. I keep getting tripped up with the parameters that
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's more like
DeFi Box
$10.
uses. Okay.
Looking at the ATP, that's like around $10, maybe a bit more, like around $10. Which and it's also written in the proposal, which I think is I would be in favor of that number. So I would, my input would be to use it like it's stated right now there, because that makes sense to me.
Okay. But we'll see how the community reacts to this, and we'll see if this gains any traction. I'm curious to see how people will vote on this proposal. And hopefully we'll have more ATPs as well in the future going forward.
If anything, it's a pretty cool ATP to be able to do that, like decentralized. And it's also nice that the DAO holds USDT, although it's a bit controversial, perhaps, especially selling at certain price points and stuff like that. So that's going to be an interesting debate. But like for a technical demo, I think I would be completely in favor. And the DAO holding USDT is going to be useful in the future as well. Definitely for a few things.
Yeah, I totally agree. I also feel very wary about selling right now, but hopefully it'll just make it easier for us to do the same in the future when the price of EFX is better.
One interesting aspect, perhaps, to go into a little bit on this transaction is that because we've already formulated the transaction, we're like, I think you're doing a trade that today would be around $10 or $12 that you would receive in USDT for the EFX. But of course, the price can change as as the cycle progresses, and by the time that the transaction gets executed, the prices can be different for EFX. So inside the transaction, you have this the slippage defined. I think the slippage is like to receive like the minimum amount that the transaction expects to receive is the $8. $8 in USDT. for this amount. So it tolerates for a certain price difference over the course of time, and then if the price of EFX would drop like below that point, then a transaction would not be able to execute, which is kind of an interesting thing. But I think the numbers like this make sense, and then that would be very strange if that would drop below that.
Indeed, the time for us to actually get a proposal going and then for it to get accepted before we execute it is a minimum of 2 weeks, right? So I'm also scared of how viable this will be in the future for larger trades where other people can potentially front run the transaction because they know it might go either way. But
I don't. If it's because we have to execute the ATP, I don't think it'll be that easy to front run. Only just it may cause people to sell if it's like something crazy. So we should probably only do it as a very slow amount. If like if we want to build up funds for like say a hackathon, it would have to be trades that aren't enough to like make people panic or something.
Yeah, I think front running shouldn't be too much of an issue in the sense that like it's hard to see when the bots won't know when this transaction is going to be executed exactly. I'm not even sure how front running, if that's a thing in EOS. Actually, I don't know, because there's not something like gas fees or something. You cannot like pay more for your transaction and have it sorted. Like the block producers could have obviously like influence the order of transactions, but yeah, but I don't think it's going to be a big issue. Maybe later when it's like a massive transaction, of course, people is like announcing a transaction publicly before you do it, right? So it gives opportunity to for people to trade based on that information. But as it's public, I don't know if that would really be called front running.
Well, it's the same basically
okay,
principle. We don't want to be like we don't want to be like the the U.S. government, right? Just constantly spending or trading for things. Because
Yeah, sure.
essentially,
indeed,
we're not taken from the liquid pool of EFX. We're taken from the treasury, right? So we're introducing more EFX into this money supply.
yeah, indeed. It's EFX that is locked up and then will actually come free. So yeah, that's a good point.
So
But I
like,
thought of front running as well a little bit as long as there's like public data that a transaction is going to happen in the future, and it might be a certain amount, either buy or sell, that there will be a trade against that for when that happens. And in that sense, somebody might profit off of it. But I also think it won't be such a grand amount that it'll be worthwhile for
yeah,
somebody to actually.
the only way I envision this being used, or rather the one I would agree with, is that if, for example, we want to save up 500 USDT a month for a future hackathon reward pool, something like that.
Mhm, exactly.
Also, a proposal recently passed. I think Rochelle, you were the author of the proposal where members of a certain committee, I forgot the details, but they would be paid in USDT, I believe, in that proposal as well. Maybe that ties in somehow.
Yeah, I wanted them to be paid in USDT and not EFX because I don't think we need to really use so much EFX right now.
Well, we wouldn't be able to avoid it because we have to trade the EFX to USDT. So I think it was 200 per member, and there's 3 members per month.
Yeah, something like that. But I mean, really, I don't don't care personally which form it's in. So
Yeah, but you wrote the proposal to be USDT.
yes.
So that's right. I forgot that part. So that'll be essential then if we want to pay the participants in this committee. But then that's already.
So I did choose USDT as well as a stable coin to do the swap in, because it seemed like it was the biggest one on EOS at the moment. Does anybody know of any other stable coin that might be
I think that's the only good one.
that has a significant presence?
Yeah, I think it's the only one. Like there might be some more sort of obscure stable coins, but USDT I'm pretty sure is the sort of legit one. It's also supported on Binance, which makes it quite easy, convenient to trade. Maybe even on KuCoin as well, I think. So the EOS version of USDT. So it makes it really easy for people to use. So I think yeah, I also don't expect that we're gonna see like USDC or anything supporting EOS, but who knows?
Yeah, I don't think so either. There was also the worker onboarding proposal that passed 2 cycles ago. Is there any updates on? Are there any updates on that?
Yeah, well, that was a sentiment proposal, and it overwhelmingly passed. So now I'll just be drafting up the actual proposal. But I'm still looking for another person that wants to join in on the committee. I have 2 interested parties, but not much else interest. So I think I'm going to start doing a interest drive this week and asking people directly and posting and stuff. But if nobody else steps up, then I'll just be putting myself and 2 other people forward.
Right. So the first step is to nominate the candidates, basically
Yeah.
to the committee, right?
Yeah. So far, Miguel and Paris have Don said they wanted to, and I like that. They're both workers on the platform for one. Have been through the massive worker onboarding part when we had the KHS or KH stuff. So I think they're pretty good for it. They have the availability and stuff. So I mean, if I can't find a third person, then it would just be us 3 instead of 4 of us.
Okay, well, hopefully, this being a paid position, it'll actually attract more people
Yeah.
to come help. And as long as we advertise it properly, I hope that'll
Oh, I see. So
make a
this was a
difference.
sentiment proposal anyway, right?
Yeah. It was just sentiment.
Okay,
So.
so it's not actually creation. It's like we want to create. Okay.
Yeah.
I do think like I'm thinking a bit about the payment, right, of that proposal, because I think it's extremely valuable and we need to push it forward and make it real. But then there's the issue with the USDT payments and the price of EFX and liquidity and stuff. So I think we like one way to get USDT obviously is to swap it, with the current sort of demo proposal, like the one that we currently that we just discussed, the 146, to swap it with an ATP, which is also not ideal. So an alternative would be, and I think that will definitely have high chance, is to just ask the foundation for a USDT grant, basically, for the DAO, maybe of several $1,000s, like something that fits the scope of this project, like of this proposal, and then sort of bootstrap it that way. So at least there's enough USDT available for paying the committee members in a way that it doesn't have to be EFX tokens. I think if the DAO would just put forward like a sort of a grant proposal and we can discuss with the foundation, and then that would be a nice, like a way that we do not have to swap EFX at like ridiculous rates. But we can just use the grant to kickstart the project and then see where it goes from there. But at least for like 3 months time or something, we would have at least the USDT secured.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that would be nice, but we would still, like the way I'm thinking about this, we would have to every cycle just do a swap to build up a small amount of USDT so there's not much slippage. And that would be enough to pay people who have, I guess a salary at this point, even if it's a small incentive.
Yeah, that would be like how it should go, right? Because then it comes straight from the treasury. But I think for bootstrapping this, and especially as we do not, like, I would be sort of hesitant to do bigger swaps right now. Like doing an OTC deal would also be an option, that we say like we trade OTC some EFX with like an entity to not hit the markets directly, which I don't know if that makes sense. Would have to think a bit on it. But I think like the foundation is tasked with, there should be funding these like initiatives, obviously. And I think just it's not a crazy amount. So to get a grant from the foundation to at least bootstrap the first 3 months or something, so we don't have to stress the swapping too much, to me feels like a nice solution for the beginning of it.
Yeah, as Alan says, we probably like it's preferable if we just use EFX, but I don't know functionally how easy it would be for a lot of people to choose. In the past, we had, for example, when Bree was doing the writing up and doing the recordings, she did invoice type proposals where they requested funding. But I think, Rochelle, did you want it to not be like that this time around?
Be like what?
Well, there's basically two ways. Either they request to be paid for, doing what they pledged to do, and then the alternatives, they just get paid, like through a proposal without necessarily them themselves requesting it.
I thought the ATP would be better, and then
Well, I guess we
you
could just
have
ask
like
them,
your
right? Like personally.
3-month term. Yeah.
So
Just ATPs are cool.
of the free committee members, we could just ask them which of them prefer EFX and which of them prefer USDT, and then when doing the ATPs, we can, do 2 separate ATPs for their preference. Will that work?
I'm open to anything. My two concerns are people get compensated and it doesn't mess up tokenomics and all that stuff. So I am very flexible, just as long as things are messed with. So I'm not rigid on how it needs to be. I leave that up to you guys.
Well, it is up to their own personal opinion on what they want. I mean, strictly speaking, the process is the same regardless, right? Because if we ever want to acquire USDT in the treasury, we have to swap EFX, right? Well, I mean, we could spend a grant, but that's not sustainable. So if we give them EFX and they swap it to USDT, it's like the same transaction, basically, right?
Yeah, true. That's
Yeah.
true. Like it's the same. I mean, like I think in the long run, it would be beneficial, like as a strategy, to have like a buffer of like stable coins, like in the treasury that can be used for various things. So we don't always ad hoc have to swap because of market conditions, because things change like over a cycle's time. Like the conditions can change quite a bit, and also um, the liquidity of it itself, right? It might like I'm not sure if it really depends on the committee members if they want to be paid in EFX or USDT, I guess. Like I agree. So maybe the USDT should just be an optional uh, payment method, and they can always swap themselves as well. So yeah, that's also true.
Like the appeal of doing these swaps is if we have known expenses, right? We can distribute them over a period of time without doing it all at once. Like like the hackathon is the classic example. If we assume that, like, of course we don't know for sure, but let's say they considered it work, right? And they need the money now because they gotta pay their bills. I mean, that's very reasonable for workers. You need to be paid right away so they can use their money. So in that case, it will be a big blip volatility wise, and then the other option is just spreading it all out cycle by cycle, so it's not like a huge blip. It's more reasonable, and that will be the same for paying community members who like do a job instead of so yeah, if they request EFX to hold, or they request USDT to get paid, something like that.
Yeah, I agree. Well, it's a good topic to just to think on for a little bit. But indeed, for the proposal now, I think we can just not be so strict on the payment method. Maybe just use EFX for the committee, and for the future, it's worthwhile to discuss. Like we have this proposal now, the USDT swap from the DAO. I think it's a nice initial step in figuring out how to diversify and be a bit smarter, or like more strategic with funds, like paying people that are not interested in running tasks, or like being involved. Like I guess we want to sometimes work with people or groups that maybe graphic designers or whatever, like that do not really want the tokens, right? So then it makes more sense to pay in USDT, and if there's just a buffer of that available, then I think it's just beneficial for the markets, and for attracting people to work with. But in this case, of course, it's very, very related to the platform. So an EFX payment makes total sense as well when it comes to the proposal for the committee.
I remember a while back, is it implemented, the distribution of NFX?
Not sure.
Yes, I think like not in the UI. Like of course, NFX can be sent with ATPs, and also with like a proposal reward. So technically, that can be done. I don't think it has been done yet. I'll check though.
What would that look like? Distributing the NFX?
You mean just as proposal rewards, right, DJ? Or does she mean like in a different
Well,
way?
well, yeah, it could be a proposal reward. I mean, for example, maybe a committee member would prefer to get some sort of NFX incentive too, because they're directly participating. in the governance by being on a committee. But really, that was just I was wondering if it's possible, because I remember you saying you'll do it like a long time ago.
Yeah, I'll check. I'm not sure what I kind of forgot the exact details, but I'll double check this. I believe there should be like NFX available in the DAO, and it should be able to be used for what we see fit, like rewards or something like that. So, but I'll double check and yeah, circle back in Discord.
Okay, so those were mostly the proposals. We don't have any agenda items this time around. Would anybody like to add an agenda item?
Well, Jesse, did you get on recycling those box tokens?
No, not yet. I was about to do it, so I'm gonna send those
Okay.
over from the liquidity wallet to the from the foundation's liquidity wallet. I'll get them like approve the transaction for sending them to the Candy the DeFi box like wallet. So then they're gonna be used for redistribution, right? That was the.
Well, I'm not sure if it's gonna be box rewards again.
But yeah, I'm gonna send those back like
But it
in a
was
little
agreed
bit, and
upon
then
that you would
I'll.
send them back. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that should be sorted today, and I'll get back to Raven and see it in the next steps. But yeah, I think the next steps will be that we're going to put EFX rewards, like figure out the exact process and how many, but like how many tokens we'll put in that farm of DeFi bucks. But I think that should be like the next step, and then we can write a proposal as well for funding those more consistently.
Yeah. I think we'll need right now we're just kind of doing it by ear. Well, this is probably something Alan would like. We definitely would need to have kind of like a report of how much EFX is being used, taken out of the treasury. Like, I think I could probably do it manually, but it would be nice if it was like on the dashboard, something that's like how much has been distributed in every like quarter or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good one. I can take a look as well. Like it's all there, obviously. But it would be really nice to have a report of
Because
all those, like
as we,
just every cycle.
yeah, because we do want to we want to be aware of other because even I forgot about the committee and paying the committee members too, right? So like as we get more things we have to do, it's good to be able to just look at the list to make sure we're not spending too much.
Yeah, exactly. No, 100%. I was thinking about this before. Like we're several years in now, and like yeah, it gets messy if you don't have reports and reminders and like so at least a dashboard or some reporting around what's being spent
Yeah,
and
like
what's
I'm
going out.
hoping like it could be automated where you just have like kind of like a spreadsheet type, just like or just a table, right? And it shows like how much EFX is distributed in the proposal, and then like you can just divide it in quarters or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's something that would be available in one of the contracts table. So, for example, the DAO Treasury Fund, and would that be in the table then? Or would we need to track all of the transactions that happened from a specific account?
Well, probably make more sense if it was just the transactions, right? Because it's always done from one account, right? The distribution.
Yeah, there's a few things you can read directly from chain, which are quite easy to put in a report, like how much has been sent to proposals, how much fees have been paid to guardians, and how much has been recycled or spent every cycle. Like those stats can all just be read directly from the tables. So that's quite easy. And then I think it makes sense if we create a little, I can definitely do that, like a list of all the transactions that came from the treasury, like that's a separate account, to the DAO and how much went back. For that, we will just need to download a CSV from a block explorer with those transactions. But it shouldn't be too hard, as it's been like, well, nearly 3 years, I think. But yeah, like we can just download that from blocks or some other explorer for sure.
Okay. I mean, that would be the easy way of doing it, and at least we'll have a report then. But just thinking what would be useful to automate going into the future.
Yeah, for a live dashboard or automation, the what's available in the tables, like the first part I just said, those we could quite, you can just fetch them from an RPC node. So I think we can create like a little dashboard of that as well. It's not a bad idea.
Yeah, because I know in rewards you already see the totals for every cycle. So the so yeah, I feel like it could definitely be automatic generated. Uh, okay. So we talked about proposals for most of the time, but do you have any updates on what you're currently working on?
Yeah, I've been working on the new Force front end still, making sure that there was a bug in the submission of the tasks. That took a little while to figure out like what the issue was there, and I'm busy with working on the Effect.js integrating DAO contract functions and creating a tighter coupling with uh, your DAO account with then your worker account for the worker front end. I'll have a little sneak peek for the community this week of what that looks like, and so people can have a visual of what the new worker front end will look like.
It sounds good. What about you, Jesse?
Oh, yeah, sorry. So yeah, like we've been like the feed set fixing a few issues with the current flow of the smart contract. So I've done a few bug fixes as well for the smart contracts, and been working on the Python SDK, which is now almost finished. So like it's looking. It's like we can do go full circle now, so we can publish tasks and do them in the new UI. And for the next basically section, we're going to focus on working on the qualification, so making sure that's all working on the requester and the worker side, and publishing a few campaigns. So when we have that ready, we can have some DevNet testing going on with a few campaigns. We've already set up a few like templates and been working on standardizing the template library that we're making, so you can easily fetch different types of tasks you need to be done without coding too much. So we're hoping to publish this week and next week a lot of sort of demo campaigns that we're sort of copying from things we've done in the past, but also from things that are happening currently on Amazon MTurk and some other platforms around AI dataset creation. And yeah, we want to make sure we have like a nice selection of the different types of tasks we're expecting to come in production, and be able to test those. And when that is all ready, we can really start looking at workflows, maybe even tutorials or videos on how to process data sets, for example, in Python, after publishing them on Effect Network. But yeah, for now, like Python SDK almost finished, smart contracts are finished. And we can really start looking at the content side, so qualifications and campaigns, to hopefully have like end of next week, like a DevNet environment where people can experiment and work and use the SDKs on their own. That's the goal.
Sounds good. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's nice, and especially like the nicest thing is that the way you can just see immediately when you're using the new UI and stuff. It just everything feels way more logical. It's not like you're waiting for transactions and it's loading like stupidly long, and it just feels almost like using a normal application. The wallet integration is way more smooth, so the experience for a user is like almost like using a normal generic platform, which is it's like a great improvement over what's currently being used by workers.
I see. So then it's a completely new iteration. It's not like just an update.
Yeah, it's a completely new iteration. Yeah, it's completely new. It looks different. Yeah, the flows are different. The software is new. It's basically a completely new iteration.
Indeed, we revamped the whole reservation system, and we had our doubts about updating the current platform, but at certain points, the changes were so deep that we figured it would be better to just start fresh and just solely focus on the worker interface and make sure that that's solid, and not focus on the requester side anymore. Because the data is there, we can easily upload it. We just need the worker interface to be as smooth as possible.
Oh yeah, I do
Yeah,
feel like it needs to be separate. The whole, like you don't even need to state what you want to do, right? You either go to the worker side or you go to the requester side.
Indeed, in the past, we were imagining that it would be this open marketplace for both sides to be able to add to the platform, but yeah, that wasn't really working out as we wanted it to. So, but yeah, there will be a video this by the end of this week showing what it looks like, and hopefully I can show you how smooth it's working.
And currently, the requester side, we're really focusing on machine learning and AI. So the requester side initially will be completely based on the Python SDK. So it will revolve around opening an IPython notebook or the terminal, or whatever you prefer, and launching tasks from there. It's going to be very convenient. And so it's mainly focused on AI stuff. And like a really nice interface where you can manage and create tasks. We've tried to accomplish that like 2 times before, and somehow it never really hit the right spot for everyone. Like people wanted to create a survey, they rather use like Typeform or something or Google Form than our interface. So we will have to figure out what like the UI is going to look like for the requester. But initially now it's just completely based on Python, so it will be perfect for anyone that's into AI or data science to get access to data, because they can just use it from their Python environments directly, and it's going to be quite convenient, like tailored for that integration.
This time around, we're also building in checks using JSON schema validation tools, so that the input data gets validated before it gets to the worker, and that the output data also matches what the requester is expecting. We've learned from the past, and we're trying to make sure that we can avoid the pitfalls that we had last time. Things that we should have had in the first platform to begin with, but didn't foresee those pitfalls. So we're excited to actually showcase all of it. Maybe we should be a bit more vocal as well about all of the technical challenges that we're currently facing, instead of assuming that people won't find it interesting.
Well, I'd probably find it interesting, but I don't know how many people would.
Yeah, well, maybe just we can do a little.
We need to find
A little presentation then, instead of like doing a write-up, but we'll see. Sorry?
Yeah, we'll need some good examples with once the Python SDK is out, because I wonder if there's got to be people who need help making a model, and we just have to figure out how to find them.
Yeah, exactly. Finding requesters is always the challenge. We need some workers like to make sure we have a solid foundation. I think there's a lot of workers that are currently not using the platform because it's just not working properly, or there is not enough work to do. But we can engage them again. So if we have a solid foundation with this new platform, and there is enough tasks there that are related to what we're going for right now, I think we can have a solid worker base like onboarded pretty soon. That's also why I think the proposal that Rochelle made before is very important. So we can sustain that and get them all acquainted with the platform. But finding requests is going to be the most important thing, as always. And being able to integrate now with the Python and AI ecosystem is going to give us great, like we can really showcase in just interactive notebooks and in tutorials on how you can generate a data set and immediately train for example, a LoRa. Like there's all these tutorials online on how to train a LoRa, and then like a part of that of all those tutorials is always, go to Google image search and search for lots of images and then put them in a Google Drive and label all of them. Like people do it by hand. So I think there's a ton of those examples that we can just. I'm not sure if that's going to drive great volume directly, but it gives us great ways to
Well,
showcase how you can
we
use
wouldn't
this
need
and
great volume. We just we need to find just people doing the research right, maybe hobbyists or not, that write about it. And so as long as they write about us, it's beneficial. That's what I think I envisioned the AI fund to be used for, right?
exactly, like there's so many researchers and developers that are independently developing AI solutions right now. The number of GitHub repos around LLMs and around stable diffusion and all the tools around it, like there's just so many people that are building things right now, and a lot of them need data. So if we can position ourselves like a platform where they can quickly get quality data, and that I think that will establish us. And yeah, they don't have anywhere else to go. Like there's either very expensive data annotation platforms that are more really only geared towards corporates, or there is like mturk or something, but it's like going down really quick. Like mturk is degrading, and it's you cannot really like properly use it anymore. So yeah, it's a unique position, I think, if we can. And we need tutorials and blog posts and engagement with the community to establish us as the platform where they can get that data. But I do think that's where we can really grow in that section. And the platform needs to work well. Like it needs to support properly the tools they're using. So
Yeah.
it's not like going to be an experience like getting the data, and it's all kinds of Excel and repetitions and stuff. It all needs to feel very smooth. Putting data in and getting data out, it has to feel like technical, like using an API or something. Things take a bit longer, but it just works, I think. And that with the current iteration, that's where we can get.
All right. It's I think it's about time to finish up, right? Or are there any other topics to cover?
I think so
No, I
too.
think
I
that's it.
can
Yeah, we're over time. So
indeed.